God still has a plan for you. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's falling apart. When doors close, strength fades, and the future looks like a distant shadow. Maybe today you feel exactly like that, thinking your story is over, that your chance has passed. But listen closely. God has not finished with you yet. He still has a perfect plan for your life. What seems like an ending today could be the very beginning of the miracle you've been waiting for. Before we start, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and like this video, because here you will find stories and reflections to strengthen your faith and remind you that with God, there is always hope. David sat on a worn park bench, staring at the gray sky above. His heart was heavy with disappointment. Dreams he once held tightly had slipped through his fingers, leaving him feeling lost and alone. But deep inside, a small voice whispered, "Not all is lost." Little did he know, this day was about to mark the start of something incredible. As David sat there, an elderly man approached and gently took the empty spot beside him on the bench. His eyes held a calm wisdom and a warmth that seemed to melt the chill in the air. Without hesitation, the man spoke softly. "Son, I see the weight you carry, but remember, God's plans are never finished. Even when you can't see the road ahead, He is already working behind the scenes." David looked at him, doubt lingering in his eyes. "How can I believe that? Everything I worked for is gone." The man smiled kindly and said, "Failures don't define you. God's love is greater than any mistake. He uses every broken piece to create a beautiful new masterpiece." For the first time in a long while, David felt a flicker of hope ignite in his heart. The old man leaned in a little closer and continued, "Let me tell you about a man who lost everything. His family, his job, even his health. He thought his story was over. But in his darkest hour, he turned to God and prayed for guidance." David listened intently, drawn in by the gentle confidence in the man's voice. That man started to see small signs: unexpected kindness, new opportunities, moments of peace in the storm. Though he didn't understand the plan, he trusted that God was leading him to something greater. The man smiled warmly. That man's life was transformed, and so can yours. David felt a stirring deep inside. Maybe God's plan was still unfolding, even for him. David sat quietly, letting the old man's words sink deep into his heart. For the first time in months, he felt a warmth spreading through the cold shadows of doubt. The old man's eyes twinkled as he said, "You see, sometimes the hardest moments are where God works the most. When life feels like it's breaking you, He's actually building you up, stronger, wiser, and ready for what's next." David thought about all the times he had wanted to give up. Maybe those moments weren't punishments, but preparation. God's timing isn't always ours, the man added gently, but it is perfect. Your story isn't finished. It's just beginning. Hope bloomed inside David's heart like the first rays of dawn. David slowly stood up from the worn bench, a mix of uncertainty and newfound strength swirling inside him. The sky above was no longer the cold gray he had first seen. Now, streaks of warm sunlight broke through the clouds, as if God was reaching down to reassure him. The old man smiled gently and said, "Take the first step, David. It doesn't matter if you can't see the whole path. Faith is about trusting the one who guides you, even when the way seems unclear." David's mind drifted to a verse his mother used to say when he was a boy. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Though his doubts lingered, a new courage began to grow within him. He realized faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about surrendering your fears and trusting God's perfect timing. With a heart still trembling but hopeful, David took that very first step forward, stepping into the unknown, believing that God would never leave him to walk alone. In the days that followed, David noticed small yet powerful changes unfolding around him. Opportunities he thought were lost began to reappear in unexpected ways. Doors that once seemed firmly shut now gently creaked open. He found himself drawn to a small, welcoming church where the warmth of community filled the air. Here, faith was more than just words. It was the source of strength, comfort, and unshakable hope. David joined prayer groups, listened to uplifting sermons, and slowly allowed the peace of God to calm the storms inside his heart. The challenges were still there, but they no longer held the same weight. One afternoon, a phone call changed everything. A kind voice on the other end offered him a job that perfectly matched his passion and skills, a blessing he had never dared to hope for in his darkest days. Step by step, God was working in David's life, proving that setbacks are never final when he is in control. David often reflected on those long nights filled with doubt and sorrow, when it felt like his dreams had been shattered beyond repair. Yet now, standing at the brink of a new chapter, he knew God's timing was perfect. He understood that the pain he had endured was not in vain. It was a refining fire that shaped him into a stronger, wiser person. His journey through hardship had prepared him to become a beacon of hope for others facing their own battles. With a heart full of gratitude, David vowed to share his story with those who feel lost or broken, reminding them that God's love never fails and his plan is always unfolding. No matter where you are right now, he said, God still has a plan for you. It might look different than you expected, but it is exactly what you need. This promise filled his soul with purpose and joy, and he faced each new day confident that God was walking beside him every step of the way. Today, David stands as living proof that no situation is too broken for God to redeem. His story reminds us all that faith is not about avoiding hardship, but trusting God through it. If you are watching this and feel lost, discouraged, or unsure of your future, know this: God still has a plan for you. He is working behind the scenes, weaving your story into something beautiful. Don't give up. Take that next step in faith even if you can't see the whole path. Because with God, your future is full of hope and purpose. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to receive more uplifting messages that strengthen your faith and remind you that you are never alone. Remember, your story is far from over. God's best is yet to come.